So we've got some brand new Euro spec taillights installed on Sam's 2022 Mustang GT. Now these here from S550 Euros are their 2024 style Euro spec taillights, and I gotta say, I think they do look a bit better than your standard S550 ones, but hey, you guys be the judge of that. What's going on, Team Lethal fans? It's Joe here with Lethal Performance, and today we're going to be taking a look at S550 Euros. Now, S550 Euros is one of the newest brands that we've added onto the site here at lethalperformance.com, but we are super proud to carry the entire lineup of S550 Euro lighting solution products for a bunch of different cars, but mainly, can you take a guess? S550 Mustangs, which of course we specialize in. Now when I'm talking lighting solutions, I'm talking everything from headlights to taillights and everything in between, including side markers, reverse lights, third brake lights, and so much more for, of course, the S550 chassis, but a bunch of other vehicles as well. Today, what we're gonna be doing is taking a look at the brand itself, but we're also gonna be installing one of their products on an S550 here a little bit later, and I think you guys are gonna like it. Now, as their name implies, one of their most popular sellers is going to be the S550 Euro style taillights, which are going to be any of those clear taillights that you would see on a Euro spec car. However, these taillights technically aren't European rated. They give you that same effect with the same DOT rating that you would need here in the States. So now that it's not just me talking about how great the S550 Euro stuff is, let me go ahead and grab a set of their Euro style taillights, but these ones here have a little bit of a twist. Now these here are S550 Euros 2024 styled clear taillights for the S550 chassis, meaning 15 to 23 model year cars. Now these here are basically going to bolt in place, plug and play with a super easy install that shouldn't take us more than about 30 minutes. Now these taillights here are going to be perfect for you guys who love that new aggressive styling on the S650 rear end, but aren't looking to spend all that money on a new S650 car. S550 Euros actually does have them in various other ways. You can get them in a smoked version as well as just your regular red if you're still just wanting that aggressive S650 styling. Now S550 Euros sells these not as just regular taillights, but in a bunch of different configurations if you want to go with their RGB options. Now with RGB, of course, you get the ability to change modes all via Bluetooth on a phone app. Basically makes it super cool for if you have a show car or if you have a car that's going to be parked up at a car meet sometime. It's just something fun to play around with, and it makes for a super cool detail, especially if you've got underglow or something else on a car that makes it, you know, all kind of blend together and match. Now, last thing, but certainly not least, is going to be the warranty behind these. These are covered by a 2-year manufacturer's warranty through S550 Euros so that it can add to your confidence in knowing that you're getting a quality product. Now that I've got these overviewed pretty good, let's go ahead and install them on a car and show you what they look like. All right, I'm out here in the parking lot. We've got our man Sam's car here that we're gonna be installing the S550 Euro taillights on. It should be a really quick and easy process. It's only going to need a couple tools to do it, and it should make for a nice result on the car here. Now this is a 22 Mustang, however, as I said previously, these will fit anything from a 15 all the way to a 23 car, but it's gonna give it that 2024 look, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing you're gonna wanna do, of course, is pop the trunk. Now as you can see, this car is not equipped with a subwoofer in this rear corner here, so it should make things a little bit easier, but if you did have a subwoofer here, depending on the year of car, it should just be a couple bolts to remove the subwoofer here, but since we don't have it, it's gonna make life a little bit easier for us. First thing we're gonna do here is unscrew these 4 plastic bolts that are holding in this back panel here. Once we get those screws undone, we're gonna give this panel a little pull up, and it should free it from the back of the car so that we can get access here to these trunk liners. Just like so. Now that we have those nuts off, we should be able to just give this piece here a little pull. All right, we got that nice pop sound. Now we can start moving this fender liner in here so that we can gain access to the taillight bolts. Now these here are basically just gonna have some push pins. All you really have to do is pry them out. I'm gonna use the felt itself to help pry it out. You can use a tool, but to give the felt a good firm pry back, it should just pop right out. And now that we got that loose, we can slowly pry this away. Now all you really need is a 10mm socket, and that's gonna be a 10mm long socket, and then of course a ratchet to go along with it so that you can get those nuts out. Now that all the nuts are out, last thing we need to do is unplug a small harness from inside of the car before we pull the entire taillight housing out. So now with that harness unplugged, we can go ahead and pull the taillight out. Now before you pull the taillight all the way out, you want to go ahead and remove this grommet here, and it's going to have the male end of that plug on the end of it that you just removed from that harness. Now with the old taillights out, it's time to install the all-new S550 Euros. Same exact process as the last time, except you do have this extra little button here. Now this button is going to allow you to select modes when we get into it here, but we'll go ahead and play around with that later. Same exact process though, just push the wires through, install the new grommet, and of course slide the taillight into place. Nice, easy, perfect fit. Let's go ahead and get the nuts on it. Don't forget to also plug in that harness that we just installed. Now that everything's tightened down and plugged in, we can go ahead and install the liner here back into place. Now depending on which model you bought, you want to make sure that you run the mode selection out where you can get to it. Pop your pin back in. And now you can go ahead and move on to the other side, the passenger side in this situation. Now when it comes down to the wiring on these, there are a couple different ways you could run them. You can run them with just the simple plug and play. Don't worry about this third harness here, and you're all good to go. They'll work just fine. However, if you're looking to have an orange turn signal as well as orange hazards, but have red brake lights and have them switch back and forth depending on what you're doing, then you're gonna need this module here, or should I say this harness here. Now this harness here is going to be what's called the third brake light harness. It's going to plug and play with a factory harness that's already on the car. It only requires a little bit of running some wire, but other than that, it plugs and plays, and then it allows you to have orange turn signals as well as orange hazard lights. Now, without running this, it's just gonna be the normal red turn signals, red hazard lights, just like you would on the factory taillights on the car. Now, on this install, we're not going to install this harness here simply because Sam doesn't want it on the car. However, in the future, if he does decide that he does want it, it's simple, easy enough to run the wire and plug these two harnesses in. Another note here is that with the selection mode button, you have a couple different ways to set up these taillights depending on the startup sequence you want as well as the function sequence that you want. They have a nice piece of paper here that tells you how to do it, which of course comes with every taillight kit, so you won't be in the dark on how to set up your taillights once you have them all installed. Now that we got both taillights in, the last thing we need to do is just reinstall this trunk trim. The biggest thing you want to follow here is these hooks that are on here. There's slots specifically made for them. You just want to make sure that they go into those slots as they're supposed to. Here's some nice clicks. And then of course, just reinstall those plastic nuts. And there you have it, guys. In less than 30 minutes, we've got some brand new Euro spec taillights installed on Sam's 2022 Mustang GT. Now these here from S550 Euros are their 2024 style Euro spec taillights, and I gotta say, I think they do look a bit better than your standard S550 ones, but hey, you guys be the judge of that. If you guys have any questions on anything S550 Euro related, or you're trying to grab some of these for yourself, click the links in our description or reach out with us at 561-753-8105. This has been Joe with Lethal Performance, and I'm out.